I'd like to welcome you to WCPT AM's Out Chicago. Think of us as Sunday brunch with your gay best friends. Now please welcome your host, Scott Duff.
And a happy Sunday fun day to everybody out there. Scott Duff here along with Ellen Miller.
Happy Sunday, Scott.
Happy Sunday. The sun came out.
Happy sunny Sunday. What a day.
It's a beautiful out.
I love it.
I'm glad I finally warmed up because right before Thanksgiving, we got that cold snap that happened it happened like Monday night. And then I had guests arriving on Tuesday. My patio is so neglected. There's like these ferns that are just like black and just like they're sad.
That's
so I gotta
hard.
like hack them up and everything. And I'm happy that the sun's out so I can like tidy up some things.
Oh, it's a beautiful day to do
It's
that.
gorgeous out there. It is just gorgeous. And, it's a cold week, but we've got a fabulous show today to keep you warm and toasty, and maybe a little bit hot under the collar. So this week, the U.S. Supreme Court heard arguments in United States versus Grimity. It's a pivotal case that will shape the future of transgender rights nationwide. Very big deal going on right now. And Jen Grosshandler and Gira Goldstein from the Gender Cool Project, our good friends, they're going to be joining us to talk about the potential impact of this case. And Chicago's very own Lonesome Cowboy, Andrew Starr, is back on the show. He's getting ready for his Lonesome Holiday Show at the Hideout with 4 performances and 2 different casts. We are going to have him on. And, we love music on the show almost as much as we love food. And Ellen and I, we're gonna do our little share our fave holiday songs and albums. Try to keep things
Get a little light
joyful,
and joyful,
light.
and maybe turn you on to some songs you've never heard. You
Yeah.
never know. We might have some more obscure ones here. Just a little tease. So.
Just a little tease.
Yeah.
There we are. And have you been gobsmacked this week? I know I have. We would love to hear from you. To just be like, what? What's happening? There we are.
Only just begun.
We've
with
only
the Carpenters.
just begun. So give us a call at 773-763-9278. The number again is 773-763-9278. Of course, you can find us on Facebook where we are coming at you live. Just head on over to Out Chicago Radio. And while you're there, give us a click and a like and a share and all that good stuff. But if that doesn't float your boat, you can always tune in on WCPT AM 820. And while you're at it, follow WCPT and our sister network, Heartland Signal, on all of the socials.
Yes, indeed.
And yes, indeed you do. How you doing there, Ellen?
I'm hanging in there.
Don't let go.
Don't let go.
Don't let go.
Don't let go if you're hanging.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of a challenging holiday season already. But as I mentioned, we have a pup that's
Not doing so
well,
I
but
know.
she is in treatment, and we're hoping for the best. And Kathy's mom, my mother-in-law, had to have a surgery that she went to Tennessee for that got canceled in the 11th hour. So Kathy had to come home. So it's been kind of up and down with us. But the good news is her mom, will have the surgery eventually, and our dog hopefully will be getting a good report in a couple of weeks when we find out if treatments are working. But a little added stress. But we're also trying to have got to enjoy the good times.
Gotta enjoy the good times.
And we did have some good times this week. We went and saw Mavis Staples.
For her birthday.
For her 85th birthday celebration, the hometown they were billing it as her hometown birthday celebration. Her birthday is actually in July, but she's been on this birthday tour.
Hey.
And why not?
If you're Mavis Staples and you're 85, go
ahead
for
and
it. Celebrate as much as you want.
And you're up there doing it. She's a civil rights icon, a musical icon. She started singing when she was like 7 or 8, and with Pops, her dad, and the family band. And she sang at the Kennedy inauguration, John F. Kennedy. She marched alongside Martin Luther King. She was in the very famous The Last Waltz with the band and Joni Mitchell and Bob Dylan. And the main thing about her, Scott, is she emits more joy than anybody I've ever seen on stage. I mean, she's got a smile on her face. She's not one to rest on her laurels. I mean, she covered a David Byrne song. She plays with Jeff Tweedy from Wilco. He's been collaborating with her for the last bunch of years. She calls him Tweedy, and a Grammy award-winning record that they did together, and he was out of town, unfortunately. He wasn't there, but Jackson Browne was there.
Oh, man, every time I hear Jackson Browne, I think of Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Because is he what?
Every time somebody has sex in that movie, they played.
Oh, they do.
She's gonna be somebody every time. Yep, every time.
Yeah, he's a favorite of mine. I've loved him from when I was young. He's about 8 years older than I am, but his music has been iconic to me. I used to cover some of his songs when I played and sang in college. Anyway, he was one of the openers. Margot Price, originally she's from Illinois, near Iowa. She's a real up-and-comer. People love her. Singer-songwriter. She and her husband performed an opening set. So it was magic. It was beautiful. Kelly Hogan, who's a Chicago singer, is one of her backup vocalists who's going to be, it's all one big, family here. She will be on Andrew Saw's holiday, Cosmic Cowboy holiday extravaganza. So Kelly, and I saw Kelly she did the Roaches last week.
Oh, wow.
So she's like everywhere.
Everywhere.
She's like everywhere.
Visa, everywhere you want to be.
She is. I don't know if you've seen her, but she's funny, and she's also a great singer. So, yeah, it was just really nice to see Mavis doing her thing. People just were beside themselves. I think I knew like everybody that was at the concert. The whole timeline when I got home, I saw Tracy Baim in line in front of me. Getting her tickets. It was a night to behold. This is when you say, this is why I live in Chicago, winters and all, to see somebody who's from Chicago like Mavis, who's iconic, world renowned.
Oh, yeah, a legend.
And just feel like this is our culture, this is our city. And it was just, some good feelings.
And it was down at the auditorium, right?
Which is my favorite place.
That place.
The sight lines are great. It's perfectly designed. It's comfortable.
Acoustics are good.
Acoustics are fantastic. I think Louis Sullivan was the one who was the architect on the auditorium. But I want to look and see any auditorium shows coming up. I want to go see them. I used to go when I was a kid. That was like some of the first concerts I ever saw were at the Auditorium Theater. Yeah.
The only concert I've ever seen at the auditorium was David Byrne's American Utopia tour.
Wasn't that great? That
Life-changing.
was so great.
Life-changing. It was before he went to
Broadway.
Broadway.
The Broadway, yes.
Yeah.
I saw that. I loved that tour.
That show was incredible.
Killer.
In fact, you can still watch it on, I guess, Max is what they call it.
Max.
That's what I call it.
I never saw the show, the Broadway play, and I know it was on for.
Oh, it's
still
it's
there.
the exact same show, but it's still on there because actually. Jerry, I was at work one night or whatever, and he's like, was doing stuff. He's like, I just put it on in the background to have it just go, and it was just wonderful. Like it's amazing.
He's one of from when he first came out with the first record in the 70s. Kind of the new wave thing was happening, inspired me to buy an electric guitar, and just he continues. He's one of those that continues to evolve and
he's so great.
Be great. So did I ever tell you I had margaritas with him once?
What?
Yeah,
of course you did.
My neighbor.
Of course you did.
He was visiting his friend who was on the set of Emma Thompson filmed a movie here several years ago.
Oh, the Stranger Than Fiction?
Yes.
Yeah.
And his best friend was the one of the set designers, and he came to town, and the best friend was a friend of my neighbor's who's an artist, and we all sat around and had margaritas in the backyard 2 doors down from my house.
Okay, so did you fangirl out? Like, how did you handle that?
I was like
I don't know if I could do it.
He is so normal. I know it sounds odd because he doesn't look normal on stage. He is so down to earth. We had just come back from Michigan, and he was interested in hearing about our trip. We were, the blueberries we brought home. But one of the interesting things that I'll never forget is my friend said, Ellen's a harmonica player. He goes, yeah. And he said, I came up that you have to use a different harmonica for different keys.
Right.
He did not know that.
What?
I
knew that.
I informed David Byrne that you need different harmonicas for different keys. It shows how much harmonica means to him because I don't think I've ever heard a single harmonica on any of his songs.
Maybe.
But the other thing was he was supposed to come to the Folk and Roots Festival, which was held at the not Horner Park, Wells Park, by Old Town School off of Lincoln Avenue, and they were all coming over, and they said, "Save us a place." So I'm like, wait till people see who's coming to sit on our blanket. Well, they got so drunk they never made it.
Oh, no.
So I was kind of bummed about that. But anyway, I digress. David Byrne, fantastic. The auditorium, fantastic. And tonight we're going to go see Betty Levette at the Old Town School.
All right.
She opened for the Stones on the first night of their two-night tour here.
Yeah.
She's 78. She's got an incredible life. I read her autobiography a few years ago. Came up rough. She was a sex worker when she started. She was, young and needing money and living in New York, and just an amazing person, a strong liberal voice. And she's going to tell her tales and sing and have a piano player. And
now, is this was she at Jazz Fest when the Stones were there? Who was that they brought on stage because they?
Oh, that was
basically
Irma
took her
Thomas.
song?
That was Irma
Thank you.
Thomas,
Irma Thomas.
personal friend of mine,
Right,
Irma
right.
Thomas. Yes, no, she opened for Steve Jordan, who's now the drummer for the Rolling Stones when Charlie Watts died. He produced her latest record,
Okay.
which she said I wouldn't have known, but during the course of her set, she had a great set at Soldier Field. I mean, a solo artist at Soldier Field.
That's a lot.
And she did it. So we're excited to see her
That's
in
so
the
exciting.
confines of, she's awesome.
That's so exciting.
Yeah,
I love
Old Town
that.
School tonight. Wells
Yeah.
Kaufman is now running the show over there. He's back in town.
Yay.
We have to have him back to talk
I
about
know,
that.
right? 100%.
So tell me about your holiday-ish
Look,
weekend.
it has been like a wonderful holiday weekish. Our guests left on Monday, and I
know you were sorry to see them go.
I was sorry to see them
they-
go, and I could not wait to miss them.
Exactly.
It's just like anything. We
Yeah.
always say fish and house guests go bad after 3 days.
I agree.
But anyway, it was great. Like we had a wonderful time. What did we do? What did we do on Sunday? Sunday we kind of drove around.
Oh, yeah, you were looking to show them the city.
First, we were trying to show them the city and everything, but it was really cold and they're Southerners, so it was just like, no, we're meh.
Yeah.
So we ended up getting some dim sum and,
Where'd you get it from?
D Cuisine.
Oh, you said D
which is really good. Shout out to D Cuisine. They're on Clark Street in Lincoln Park, just south of Diversity.
Are they related to the old D's that was around for a million years?
I do not know.
Okay.
I do not know, but their food is so good. So we kind of walked around there, just some thrifting and some shopping and whatever, and drove around downtown, played games, and it was lovely.
Sounds like an ideal day.
Wonderful. And then Thursday, when I got off of work, Jerry had gone to see Falsettos at Court Theater.
I know it's one of your very favorites. One of your
One of my
first, your
favorite.
gateway, as you like to call it.
It was my first Broadway show, but I couldn't go because I had to work until 7, and the show's at 7:30, and was in Hyde Park. They're like, "There's no way it's going to happen."
Yeah.
But that meant when I got home, there was nobody there.
That's rare for you.
No one was there except for me and my dog, and I built a fire and I ate an entire thing of raclette.
Oh, you did.
It was so gross. I felt so gross.
Aren't they like a big log? No,
Well,
small.
the
from
raclette that we
from
ate,
Trader
yeah,
Joe's.
yeah,
small
they're
one.
these little
so
slices.
I know people get upset when you
They
run
get
out
very
of it.
upset, so make sure that you go and get your raclette soon because it's going to be sopping.
And do you warm it up? You don't.
Yeah, you put it in an oven-safe dish and you
Okay, you don't need
broil
that thing,
it.
that melty thing. That
I
they sell.
wish. No, I love that melty
But
thing.
where are you
I
going to
would
store
love-
that?
I don't know.
To have
but
raclette once a year or whatever.
or a couple. If I had that thing, I'd be having raclette all the time.
No, it's a smelly cheese, as I recall.
It's so stinky, and I heated up some rosemary ham, and I had my little cornichon and pickled onions and mustards and a baguette, and just was
You were just
living my best life. It was
Pig
great.
in,
And
you
then
know what?
and then we did it's been a hot second since we've had a date day. So Jerry and I just kind of we bundled up. We this year with my family, we have drawn names for gifts and
Yes,
everything. So
yes.
we were like, well, let's go and just kind of get some inspiration. So we, bundled up and we went out for Korean fried chicken, and we just kind of walked around Andersonville.
Where did you get the Korean fried chicken?
It's a place called Cuckoo's Fried Chicken.
I do like. Did you get the real hot?
They have got this spicy. It's like a hot, sweet and spicy kind of situation.
Love that.
It was great. It was my first time there. I can't believe it. And it's in Andersonville, so in my neighborhood. And we just we walked around, went to the Galleria, we went to Transit Tees, we saw lots of stuff at Strange Cargo. We were just spending our time all right, let's look at what we've got here instead of going to the internet. Support the
Good.
local economy.
It's hard, but you have to do it if you can.
And there's a really fabulous store called Vase and Vessel. Also in Andersonville, super cute, like wonderful things like to decorate your home, little tchotchkes, but like they have vases and vessels, but they've got cheese boards and clocks and candles and all sorts of stuff. It was just great.
That sounds like a nice
Yeah, it was a
spot.
lovely. It was the whole thing was just wonderful.
I'm
We're like,
so happy for you too that you got to do that.
Yeah, we did that, and then last night was all about. We put up our tree, which will test the metal of any relationship. I don't know. What is it about putting up a Christmas
Honey,
tree?
the lights, you don't have the lights strung properly.
Well, the lights here's also
they're
the.
uneven on this side.
I know.
Your ornaments are all in one spot. Can you move them around?
There was a lot of that. There was some art direction happening, which is fine because Jerry has an incredible eye.
Kathy has an incredible eye. I just want to get the job done, be honest. And so,
Same. I'm like, let's put up. But this tree is it's 12 feet tall, so we need a ladder.
oh yeah,
Like we got to get a ladder. It's an old tree. We've had it for 10 years now, and it's like it's a pre-lit tree. None of the lights work, so we have to oh gosh, we got to go and try to find.
Now, can you
lights.
remove the dead ones, or they have to stay on there?
Oh, they're just on. I mean, they're basically they're all
woven into
yeah,
the
they're all
thing.
thing on, and it sheds like nobody's business. But I love it
the
so
joy
much.
of the holiday
Well,
decorating.
but it's so we had to go all right, we need to find trying to find Christmas tree lights at this time of year. Good
Yeah.
luck. It's
We had to go to the Amazon for that.
yeah, and we ended up having to go to a store that I'm going to, but we were able to find
Walmart.
no.
Okay.
The Home Depot.
Oh,
I prefer Lowe's because they support.
yes, candidates that we like.
Yes, they support other candidates. Yeah. But it's the only place I could find.
I know. They're hard
white
to get this
lights
time of
with
year.
white cord because it's a big white
It's
tree.
very specific.
I know.
But you found them.
But we found them. It's up. It's gorgeous. I think Jerry's like, it's almost done. I'm like, what?
It's not quite right yet.
No, he's gonna put more stuff on it. So which is
It's
great.
a work in progress.
I
right
know,
now.
and I love it.
Good.
I love it. So
Well, I'm
and
glad
then-
that makes you feel good to have that
so
done.
we've been trying to get into the holiday spirit. We've already watched Emmett Otter. We watched Pee Wee's Playhouse Christmas special, which again, last year was the first time I had ever seen it.
I've never seen it.
It is the gayest thing on the planet.
I'm sure.
It is magnificent and this weird, what is happening here? 1988, I believe, is when it came out. Kind of at the height of Pee Wee's Playhouse when they had the children's show going on there. But it's got Charo, Cher, Oprah, Whoopi Goldberg,
Oh, my God.
Dinah Shore,
Dinah.
Annette Funicello, and Frankie Avalon. Who else popped up? I mean, there's so many people on there. And Lawrence Fishburne.
Oh, wow.
When he was still Larry, and he was Cowboy Curtis.
He was?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. He was he was.
Was he Cowboy Curtis on the show, too?
He
On the
was
regular
Cowboy
show?
Curtis on the show in this giant purple cowboy outfit. You think of Neo. You think, the Matrix. You think of all these
Yeah.
total badass things. And here he is, as a little cowboy. It's great.
He's got a lot of depth and breadth.
He does have
in his-
depth and breadth. So so we're turning on the IV drip of the holiday spirit and let it just slowly kind of seep in.
Enjoy the good times while we can.
That is what we're trying to do.
I
Because
agree.
again, joy is a practice.
It
so
is.
we're actively and speaking of joyful, did you see the sky last night?
I saw it on people's pictures. Our house is not set up for sunsets.
Oh, because you're
Just the way we are. I mean, if I go out into the middle in the alley, I can see. But I
Then
was
they're
too
like,
late.
who's that crazy lady hanging out in the middle
I
of the
know. I
alley?
love sunsets. I'm a sunset freak.
It was gorgeous
Who doesn't
last
like
night.
'em?
So So again, try to find the joy in the little tiny places that you can.
You can. And remind me to tell you about running into Blago this week, too, our former governor.
Oh, what?
I'll
All right,
explain.
Well,
I'll explain.
We'll get to that. You explain that, yeah. But before we go, we should take a break, and we got to pay some bills. So before we do that, this part about Chicago is brought to you by Team Hochberg. If you are purchasing a new home or refinancing your existing home, you need to call Team Hochberg, your trusted local lender. Meet Jordan, 60, with a credit score of 620, married to Bonnie, 59, with a score of 510. Their combined annual income is $80,000. Now, Bonnie's an in-home caregiver who couldn't work during COVID, which destroyed her credit and forced them to live off their credit cards. Jordan reluctantly called David after unsuccessfully trying to refinance multiple times with various lenders. David helped Jordan refinance, pay off 30 grand of credit card debt, reduced their payment $1,500 a month, and created a plan to rebuild Bonnie's credit. Now let's review. After Jordan and Bonnie were rejected by multiple lenders, David helped them do cash out refinance, save 18 grand a year, and helped Bonnie revitalize your credit. If your suffocating credit card debt is keeping you up all night or stressing you out, call David now for a complimentary mortgage review. 855-563-2843 or visit 56david.com. The number again is 855-563-2843 or visit 56david.com. Lower.com, equal housing lender, NMLS 1124061. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, again, if you've been gobsmacked this week, we would love to hear from you. Give us a call because we're starting a whole thing called What's Happening? What's Happening?
What's happening?
What's happening? So stick around. You're listening to Out Chicago right here on WCPT.
I'm Honey West. Welcome to Out Chicago on WCPT.
Welcome back to Out Chicago. Scott Duff and Ellen Miller are here, rolling along. Doing our things, trying to get into the holiday spirit.
Trying to get my microphone to stay
Trying to get the
place.
microphone to stay in place. All this stuff
Always a
is happening.
challenge.
It is a challenge. But you are up for that
I
challenge.
am.
Look, here's one thing. I know that bitching about things feels good, but doesn't really solve anything at all. No, unless we actually try to come up with solutions. But sometimes these are crazy times, and there are a lot of crazy things going on that leaves me pulling out what is left of my hair. So today we're debuting a new segment called "What's Happening." Does anybody else feel like the lady from Poltergeist? I know I do all the time. What has you gobsmacked this week? We would love to hear from you. 773-763-9278. Sometimes there aren't solutions to things. Just kind of like, what? How? What is? What? Huh? For me, what's really driving me kind of kooky pants is like how it appears that we are just sprinting towards an oligarchy.
Oh,
like there's no one's trying to hide it.
No,
at all.
It's very obvious.
It is very obvious that all of these tech people, all these billionaire people that are now being helping to form this new cabinet. It is gobsmacked.
Very transparent. What's going on?
Gobsmacked is what I'm saying, and it's how are people okay with this? It's
well,
very
remember,
strange.
there's a whole bunch of people that don't pay attention to anything. So I don't know if they're paying attention.
I know that.
Mainly the ones that voted for.
But look, here's the thing: I'm not paying that much attention either now.
But we see the headlines. We see what's.
But I still read and do all my stuff and everything. But it's one of those I just don't understand how is this acceptable to folks?
I don't know that we can. I mean, what can we do about it? I mean,
we can't. I mean,
we can't. I think that's what where people's heads are at right now. The onslaught of horribleness that's going to be coming in the next 4 years is if you think about it too much, you're just going to make yourself miserable, sad, and just hopeless. So I know everybody I've talked to, people that were involved in the campaign for. I have a young friend who's in D.C. and he was part of working for the Harris campaign. People are just not watching the news. You hear it from everybody. I'm not watching it. I'm hearing things because if you have a phone, you get notifications. You see the headlines. Like I just got that Trump's just announced that on the first day he's going to pardon all the January 6th
Oh, how
people.
wonderful.
Surprise, surprise. But you hear what's going on, but people are not immersing themselves in all of this right now because it's just too much to take because there's no good news. So I think people are just kind of like me. I'm like, okay, what can I do except let's see how it plays out. Let's see if any of these senators grow a backbone. I mean, the Republicans have all the control right now. Mm-hmm. What kind of an American are you? What kind of patriot are you? Because this is your chance.
Yeah.
Who are you going to confirm? You going to confirm Tulsi Gabbard? Are you going to confirm Peter Hegseth? Are you going to what are you going to do about it? Because I can't do Jack, what about it?
Diddly squat.
So I think the things that we can't control, which is pretty much everything except our personal lives right now,
Right.
we are just letting go of. A lot of people are just saying, I was at a party last night and people are talking about trying to get their citizenship in other countries. Mm-hmm. But as I told them, the next 4 years, we're going to just have to make sure we don't take steps backwards. We just have to hold.
Yeah,
we may
hold
not
the
be able to
line.
take steps forward, but we have to hold the line. We have to hold on to where we are. If at the end of that 4 years, this trend of the kind of government that we see forming is a trend that I see continuing, then we have to really, I think, start worrying about it.
Yeah.
How I keep saying to myself, how much damage can he do in 4 years? I don't need to know the answer to that.
I think it could be a lot.
But it could be a lot.
Yeah.
But, this country has been around a long time. We have withstood, you look back on songs and times in the 60s and, hearing Mavis Staples like I did, the civil rights movement, the things that people have gone through for years. And again, if you're a white privileged person, you didn't feel it. But people, minorities, African Americans in this country, they've had dark times. They've had really dark times over the years. And things still aren't as rosy as they should be and as great as they
not
should
at
be.
all.
But, they've come through and they've gotten progress. So all I can say is we have to keep the faith and we have to hope that there are some patriots left in government that have an R in front of their name that are going to hopefully have some shred of democratic decency. And I don't know if it will exist, but that's the hope.
Yeah, that's the thing I'm really trying to remain calm. Like as you were saying, like we don't know what's coming down the pike, but it's like, look, from what I can tell, MAGA's mantra is keep them poor, keep them sick, and keep them dumb. Mm-hmm. Like that is the thing that's happening. They are coming. They want to mess with Social Security. They want to mess with Medicaid. They want to get rid of the Department of Education. They want to
dismantle the FBI.
Dismantle the FBI. Like all this stuff. That whole Doge thing. What? Like that whole.
And they have no real power. Remember, Doge. They don't have any power.
The Department of Government Efficiency.
Yeah, them.
Yeah. That whole thing. But it's. But these are things that they want to do,
Yeah.
and they are going and you've got Mike Johnson saying, "Hey, we all know these guys. This is going to be an exciting time. Let's give it a whirl."
Oh yeah,
sort of thing. And where do they think that money's going to? Where do the people who are supporting this? Where do they think this money's actually going to go? That they're doing and all these programs that people are they depend on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What's gonna again, gobsmacked. What's happening? Let's go to the phones. It's Steve in the Gold Coast. Welcome. You're on Out Chicago.
Yes, I wanted to make a couple of points. And one, just to touch on what you were talking about in terms of shopping locally. I mean, I got to Old Town back in 1991 after college, and that you wanted to be near downtown if for no other reason, so that you could go shop somewhere. There were a few places, mom and pop places, in the neighborhood. But by and large, everybody wanted to be in proximity to Michigan Avenue and places like that in order that you could go out and buy a pair of jeans or shoes or whatnot. But now Chicago has flattened out where work from home means that, downtown isn't what it used to be.
Yeah.
But all sorts of new neighborhoods have propped up, the Southport Corridor and the South Loop and the Clybourne Corridor and all these places over the decades, so that Chicago is no longer the case that, you have to be downtown in order to find a nice place to buy a few things. And so I just wanted to make that point. And then secondly, I know that people are really fatigued because we've gone through this seemingly long and endless cycle in terms of this election process. But here's the problem. The Congress gets to sit on January 3rd. And the president doesn't take the oath of office until January 20th.
Right.
And herein lies the problem is that you've got a razor-thin margin for Republicans. There was a Republican that just conceded the election in California.
Yep.
So that means we're probably going to have, it's going to be 220 to 215. However, keep in mind that you've got at least three people, counting Matt Gaetz, and two others who are being tapped for the administration, whose seats will then be empty because those elections can't happen until at the earliest April. So what does that mean? That means it comes down to 217 to 215. That means one defection, one person gets sick, they don't show up for a vote. It's a tie vote in the House. So, so what Republicans are going to try and do, and this is, I'm sorry I'm taking a while to get around to this point, is that means that from the 3rd until the 20th, before those individuals resign their positions to take a position in the Trump administration, they can try and get passed as much legislation as they can. So call your congressman, get them on the phone, text, email, do what you can, because we need to hold the line for about 2.5 weeks. If we want to keep them from passing a lot of things that might not get passed, because I don't think they're going to be able to pass as much as they think. I'm counting on the notion that there's at least one or two Republicans who are going to be like, whoa, my constituents benefit from a lot of the things you guys are talking about today.
Absolutely.
And I want to get reelected,
Yep.
But okay, but here's the thing, like as Ellen has been bringing up, like, do you think these people will have a spine to do all of this? Because right now everybody is so terrified to get on the bad side of ding dong that they're seriously entertaining this whole notion of like having not to be adjourned while they're during the cabinet approvals process. They're just terrified, and even if like a bunch of their constituents rely on, I don't know, like food stamps or, Social Security or paying grandma's prescription bills, like, will they actually do it? And that is the part that, like, again, it's like putting up the Christmas tree. Yeah, it will really test their mettle.
It's an excellent point, and I would argue that many won't. You're absolutely right, because they believe that to defy Donald Trump is to end your political career in the Republican Party. That they will find somebody to primary you, and you'll have a new candidate in 2 years who's running for that seat. Now, the question is, are there people, however, who are saying to themselves, you know what, I barely won my seat. This seat has gone back and forth between Democrats and Republicans, places like Long Island and Orange County in New York, Long Island, New York, and go all through a long list. And those people, I think, are concerned because, again, this isn't Mississippi, a seat in Mississippi. This is a place where, I could easily lose my job. So, and how popular is this issue in my congressional district? Forget what Donald Trump thinks, because I want to get reelected. So, there are people who adhere to the party and Donald Trump and MAGA, but they're also adhering to, wanting to retain their seat and move forward in terms of their political career. Donald Trump's career ends in 4 years.
Yes,
well,
he's a lame duck.
In theory. Thank you so much, Steve.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you, Steve, for calling in and giving us a perspective here. Yeah, it's... I had a very smart thing to say, but it just kind of went right out of my head. This whole thing is just... It's cookie pants.
Well, and as Steve pointed out, as a lot of people are talking about, the constituency of both Democrats and Republicans are for Social Security. They're not for having their Social Security taken away, or their Medicaid if they're on Medicaid, or their Medicare being canceled or changed into.
This is where the keep them the poorly educated.
Yes,
we know that he loves the poorly educated. So people who are like, oh, we're gonna save money by getting rid of Social Security and getting rid of Medicaid, and we're gonna offer up a new program that is a private thing.
Yes, so they can make even more money.
They can make more money off of the sick and the poorly educated. People are like, oh, great, Medicaid's going away, but we can do this. It's like, well, you have to pay for that.
Well, I think even the poorly educated, or people that unfortunately don't have the means to have the kind of education that those of us that are privileged to have, understand what it's like to have their benefits taken from them. That is a universal truth that people understand. If 1 minute they're looking and they say, wow, where's my benefit? Where's my food stamps? Where's my Social Security? Where's my Medicaid?
Yeah.
That's, I think, a universal language that people will get.
But then you also have dear leader who's already priming the pump to be like, hey, it's going to be a tough time. It's going to be tough for a while. It's going to be tough for a while, but we'll have solutions. Like it's It's really weird.
Obviously, this country has shown that they don't have any patience because the price of eggs, they weren't willing to wait for those to go down. They elected a president. They have no patience. They have no vision. They see what they have right in front of them today. So I don't think that they're going to have patience for any stripping of their benefits.
I hope so because it's like it's a lot. It's a lot.
He's going to have a much harder time passing all these things. A much harder time.
All right, I appreciate your optimism.
I'm holding on to that. That's what I'm holding on to.
I appreciate your optimism.
Thank you.
That is wonderful.
I'm trying.
But I'm trying not to be on social media as much,
right,
as possible. I still look at X just to kind of. I'm there just to see what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
These people are turning on folks so fast that like there was some reporter on Newsmax who said like on the show was like that Pete Hegseth should not, like, he is not qualified, he should not be nominated, and Elon Musk sent out the trolls and they immediately like, how dumb can Newsmax be? And he's a rhino. Like as soon as they go against dear leader, then they become a rhino. They become like stupid. They
it's
become
a classic
the enemy,
move of
and we gotta get
dictatorships.
them.
Yeah,
I know. So and it's going after with a zeal. Now I don't know if it's actually like bots or whatever that are doing it, but enough of it is being filtered that again, people who do not keep up with things believe it. You know, same thing with like, oh, it's going to be a little bit hard for a while. You might not be able to see a doctor, but we're working on a new plan where you can pay to do this.
I think that's where the line gets drawn, though, in people's health a little bit. I maybe I'm Pollyanna about it, but I don't think they're going to be able to get away with as much. I mean, look at how many people have since the election said, "Oh, I didn't know what a tariff was. I looked up the word fascism." I mean, you know. I think there's going to be a rude awakening happening.
Oh, I know. Well, but they're going to be coming for marriage equality too. You know,
I know.
That's the thing. Anyway, real quickly, let's go to Karen in Oakland. Karen, we got it up against the break. So real quick.
Hi, Karen.
Hi. I just want to say I think part of the reason the numbers for Kamala et al. Are so low because of voter suppression. Like for trans folk. If they can't vote by mail, they have to show up at the booth, and the ID doesn't match your appearance. One thing, and also if your name is not on the list because they already purged you from the voting rolls, and they say that no, already Karen Washington voted, for example.
Yeah, I mean, it's. Thank you so much for calling, Karen. We really appreciate you listening. Yeah, the whole election thing has been. I don't know. We can't go back and do again. There's so many people who sat it out because out of a protest of, how they're dealing with Gaza, or they're just didn't do it, or just good old misogyny.
Good old misogyny. That was key.
Around.
And racism. Throw that in.
But you
were
absolutely right. There are specific challenges for folks, for trans folks.
And misinformation, like you said, people there was a lot of misinformation out there. They went for it. They knew they could.
And people are believing it.
People believe what they hear over and over and over again.
They most
30,000 anti-trans ads in swing states, funded by Elon Musk and company.
Okay,
anyway, on that happy note.
Let's go to a break.
Let's do that.
So we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, there's more Out Chicago right here on WCPT Heartland Signal.
Hey, this is Mark Patton, and I'm from Scream Queen, My Nightmare on Elm Street, and you're listening to Out Chicago.
Welcome back to Out Chicago. Scott Duff here, along with Ella Miller, rolling along. Hey, this was a big week today. This was a big week today. Who am I? It was a big week at the Capitol and the Supreme Court. Lots of stuff going on about transgender rights. It's happening on Thursday. Transgender activists, they staged a sit-in at the United States Capitol to protest a new bathroom ban announced by Ding Dong Mike Johnson. The ban, which basically I know people are like, it appears to be targeting Congresswoman-elect Sarah McBride. It's definitely going after Sarah McBride, who was the first transgender congresswoman in U.S. history. there's a ban on using the bathrooms that applies to transgender visitors, staffers, and journalists who also frequent the Capitol grounds. Protesters from the gender liberation movement, inspired by civil rights movement demonstrations of the 60s and ACT UP protests in the 80s and 90s, they gathered both inside and outside a bathroom near Speaker Johnson's office. They were holding signs with slogans like "Flush bathroom bigotry," and I don't know if I can say this next one. Congress, stop teaching on our rights. There we go. They demanded an end to discriminatory policies targeting transgender people. And reporters on the scene noted that protesters were threatened with arrest for sexual misconduct. How is that? How does that work? What do you mean the sexual misconduct? Like,
Yeah, what's sexual, first of all, about going to the bathroom?
but they were just having a sit-in, and they took to social media, which is one things that I do enjoy of that. But they were posting. There was like a dance celebration in the bathroom. But what's going on? Again, what's happening? Like, what's going on?
Just a lot of hate. I mean, they use, as we just talked about as we ended the second segment, they used fear to get people to vote for Trump. And transgender people was number one on the hit list.
Yep.
So
And our trans folks are going to be still number one for the next uncertain period of time.
They see a place of opportunity where people are uneducated about trans people. They live in areas where most of the trans people have left, probably because they don't get any support in the small towns and cities or in the red USA, and they've just weaponized trans rights as their inroads to dialing into people's fear, and they're going to keep piling on, sadly.
Yeah. And I guess it is because of all this misinformation.
Yeah.
It's like, how many trans people do they think are out there doing all this horrible stuff to people?
They obviously don't think for themselves. They just, look at a political ad and assume that everything they see and hear is fact.
Yeah. Well, hopefully the Supreme Court will be looking at things a little bit closer, although it is a rough ride because
and she's been taking the high road, Sarah. She's really been like, she's really trying to minimize the whole thing. She's not taking the bait. She's got her own bathroom, and another congressman, you can use my bathroom. I mean, she's just trying to say, I'm there to do my job, and good for her.
Oh, yeah. But again, it keeps running up into it's a catch-22. Either she takes the high road and is like, look, I'm here to represent all of my constituents. Don't worry about where I'm peeing.
Yes.
Or because she says that, then trans activists are like, you're not standing up for us. You're not doing this right.
You can't win. It's really
it's
tough
awful. It's a
spot
horrible position for her to be in.
It is.
And then you've got Nancy Mace, who for some reason has decided that she's going to be like, this is her call. This is her calling, and she's going to do all this. And dumb Marjorie Taylor just out there saying, again, just spewing lies and total BS.
That's nothing new for
bananas.
her.
It's nothing new for her, but their obsession with trans folks.
It's horrible.
It's and making them the boogeyman, as it were. Well, the Supreme Court on Wednesday, they heard oral arguments in the U.S. versus Scrimetti. It's a case that could shape the future of transgender rights in the United States. So at issue is Tennessee's law, SB 1, banning gender-affirming medical care for minors. The law prohibits the use of puberty blockers and hormones for the treatment of gender dysphoria while allowing the same medications to be used for other conditions. American Civil Liberties Union attorney, can't speak today, Chase Strangio, the first out transgender lawyer to argue before the Supreme Court, argued that the legislation unjustly targets transgender individuals. Yes, Tennessee is a terrifying state right now. I have friends who live in Tennessee with trans kids. They're losing their minds right now. They are so worried. They don't know what to do. They just, again, feel helpless. And people are coming after them. It's like, how
What have I done to deserve this but live my life? And live my true life.
Also, and you're helping your kid. You just want to help your kid.
That's all.
And who are you? Who's the government to come in and say, like, this is the rights? And they scream parents' rights, except when it comes around this issue and healthcare for their child.
They're so hypocritical.
But and the information that they're being fed, talking about how, like, chemical castration, that is not a thing. That is not a thing that is going on.
I mean, he stood up at and said that your son's going to school a boy and he's going to come back a girl. I mean, people believed it. He said it day in and day out.
I know.
Ridiculous to people that have any knowledge, but to others it was scary, and because they thought it might be true. It was just,
but it's not
unfathomable.
Like where?
It's
Like,
crazy.
find me any source that is saying that this is actually happening.
Never.
And also just everybody. Folks out there. So the American Medical Association, the American Psychiatric Association, the American Academy of Pediatrics, the American Academy of Child and Adolescent Psychiatry, the World Medical Association, and the World Health Organization all agree that gender-affirming care is evidence-based and medically necessary, not just for adults, but minors as well. So that's the thing. Like, a puberty blocker does that. It blocks puberty. So they're trying to figure out what's going on, and they're reversible. So that is the thing that's
a lack of real knowledge is just sad.
It is. And we do have time. Yeah. So also Wednesday, outside, while the Supreme Court was going on outside, there were trans activists out on the steps of the Supreme Court. And one of their speakers was Oscar winner Annette Bening. And she had this message to share.
When the Dobbs decision stripped countless Americans of their constitution.
Hold on one second. There's another clip underneath there we probably won't get to. Oh, that's all good. I sent a link and wasn't clear with my things. But basically what she had said was that she's like, I'm here to talk about my kids. I've got 4 kids and I can brag about them because they are mine. And my oldest child is a proud trans man. And
Annette Bennings?
Annette Bennings.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Oh, you didn't?
No.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Born Beatties.
She's been very vocal about this. And what she had talked about in her speech was about how we don't need hate and division to come in. We need sound medical advice.
Yeah.
We need calm, and we need respect and dignity. These are people like parents. She's like, I messed up so many times while like my very vulnerable teenager was trying to explain things to me, and she was trying to help them out. Mm-hmm. And she's like, but because we had access to medical advice, psychiatric care, because we had access to all of these things, he is now a thriving human being. And that is all that people are that we're trying to do. People think that this is kind of like an abortion, that people enter into these decisions lightly and without careful care and consideration.
Like they're forced into it or something, which is not the case ever.
It is not the case. Most of my friends with trans kids are like,
they took the direction from their kids.
They were like, oh, okay. And because we all know that the risks of trans youth, especially like when it comes to suicide, when it comes to depression, when it comes to all of that stuff. So it's
sad is what it is.
It's sad. So, and hopefully the court isn't too stacked against our odds. Yeah. But, I know we're fretting and worrying about this, but, coming up at the top of the next hour, we are actually going to be speaking with folks who are very familiar with this case and familiar with what's going on. We're talking with Jen Grosshandler and Gara Goldstein from the Gender Cool Project, an incredible organization based here in Chicago. They've got a national scope, and hopefully they can help us kind of talk through what is happening right now and what the ramifications could be. So we're going to pay some bills. Mm-hmm. So stick around. There's more Out Chicago right after this.
I'd like to welcome you to WCPT AM's Out Chicago. Think of us as Sunday brunch with your gay best friends. Now please welcome your host, Scott Duff.
Welcome back to the second hour of Out Chicago. Scott Duff here and Ellen Miller.
Indeed.
Rolling along on this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful day.
I'm going to go for... we
I
lost...
just ran away. There we go. Hey.
All we said was it was a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful day. We got struck down.
I know.
But we're back.
But we're back. We're here. We're here. We're queer. Get used to it. Hey, we've got a great second hour lined up for you a little bit later on. Chicago's very own Lonesome Cowboy, Andrew Saw, is going to be joining us. He's got a show coming up, his Lonesome Holiday Show at the Hideout.
So good.
4 shows, 2 different casts. It's going to be amazing.
It's going to be. I went last year and I bought my tickets this year already. So I'm ready to go.
Alrighty, come on now. But we also we still want to dip our toes into something that's a little bit more weighty. As we were talking about in the previous hour, the U.S. Supreme Court heard arguments in United States versus Scrimeti, a pivotal case that will shape the future of transgender rights nationwide. And joining us now are our good friends and total heroes and warriors, Jen Grosshandler and Gira Goldstein from the Gender Cool Project. Jen and Gira, welcome back.
Thank you, y'all. Hi, Ellen. It's
nice to have you both with us.
great to be here with y'all.
Always.
We're very excited. Well, first of all, before we get into like the heavy stuff, congratulations. Speaking of y'all were on the Kelly Clarkson show.
That is so
y'all,
cool.
Cool beans. What was that like?
Yeah, tell us about it.
I think that that's a great example of how maybe the next few minutes will go in this conversation, because as we listen to and confront what's happening here in our country, and a lot of it is not good and is not great, we think about what it was like to be with one of the most prominent and loved vocalists and artists and daytime talk show host and on-air personality Kelly Clarkson. And I have to tell you that we have now seen that as a result of the Gender Cool Project being on the Kelly Clarkson show, we saw that about 70% of the folks who responded to that all across the country and across the globe have been nothing but positive. So literally, y'all, like 2/3, more than 2/3, I'm not good at math.
Me either.
I'm not good at math. But really most folks, and this goes back to something that we continue to say, most folks in this country do not want to get up in the business of how others like me and like Garen, like our families, of how we live and how we raise our kids. So Kelly was remarkable. She's a super ally. She's freaking awesome. Her entire staff is awesome. And, I think it's important for us to ground ourselves in some of these additional truths as we talk about the best path forward.
Yeah, and how did it happen? How did you get on the show?
Well, so it's all about networking, and it's all about building. And Gigi, jump in here. It's all about building the right footprint that the Gender Cool Project has, this organization, tiny but mighty, led by now 24 unbelievable young people called the Champions, who are just thriving, and they're just excellent in every possible way. And as young transgender and non-binary people, they're using their voice. So their voice reached Kelly herself. And Kelly said, I got to know about these people. I got to know about these young people, and I've got to have them on our show, because what they're doing is what I stand for.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I think the way we're going to get through the next 4 years is live your values. And that is, it was so, I was like, just flabbergasted in the best way of just like, oh, good, what a great platform to have this story, this organization kind of get their story out. Gira, can you, y'all are like on this show about, once a week, or it seems like, but Gira, can you remind our listeners about the mission of the Gender Cool Project and how long it's been around and what y'all have been up to?
Yeah, well, actually, we're going on our 6.5 year here.
I can't believe that.
I think that the core of Gender Cool and what Jen was touching on in the Kelly Clarkson show and all of the awards and accolades that Gender Cool has garnered over the years is the direct result of one of our core missions, and that is to simply allow this conversation about trans youth to take place with trans youth present in that conversation. I mean, here we are today, Scott, and you've talked to some of our champions in the past. You've had Chazzy on the air. This is one of those conversations where, because it's so difficult, right? I mean, ultimately, we're talking about the Supreme Court actually being a bully against kids. And when that happens, that's not a place for the kids to be. That's a place for the grown-ups in the room to step forward and protect our children and have these conversations that no child in this country should be having to discuss the Supreme Court when it comes to who they are as people. So Gender Cool has always been on that mission, but I think it's important to know that Gender Cool does really put the voice of trans youth forward. And what we have learned, again, with the Kelly Clarkson as an example, is that when people simply get to meet these amazing young people, their opinions change because none of the things that they've been told to be afraid of are actually true.
Yeah.
And the only way to really see that is to meet these young people and have conversation with them in person. So, I'd say that's really what Gender Cool is all about.
Yeah, and you all do it so magnificently and passionately. I'm just a huge fan. I love it. But since you did bring up the Supreme Court case, let's talk about that. So, and I'm really happy that you all could be here because your organization, Gender Cool Project, really does focus on the welfare and health of trans youth, and this Tennessee bill is really focused on healthcare and just treatment for trans youth. So to refresh our listeners' little earbuds and ear brains, the law prohibits the use of puberty blockers and hormones for the treatment of gender dysphoria while allowing the same medications to be used for other conditions. What are your thoughts on this?
If you really zoom out, Scott and Ellen, about what's happening at the Supreme Court, I believe it's really a ban about nonconformity, right? Again, we're talking about young people that very few in this country have the gift of meeting and truly understand what the trans and non-binary life experience is all about. Most people are going on this information of fear, but I do want to highlight something that is so deeply embedded in what Jen and I do every day, and that is protecting trans youth and the welfare of these amazing young people. And I think it's important to realize that what is going on here is, in essence, a true fight and bully of young people who have no power in this country whatsoever, and they're at the level of the Supreme Court being debated about who gets to control their access to affirming care. And I'm shocked that we're at that point, but I do want to say for any parents of trans youth, non-binary kids, and trans and non-binary youth that may be listening, that there are hundreds of thousands of people that see you, that affirm you, that understand your experience and the difficulties that it is to live daily, especially when the government of your country is pushing back against you. And Jen and I love you dearly, the Gender Cool team, and Scott and Ellen. I know that, you're another example of people that just truly get it and understand. And I could go on and on, but I do want to just say that, it's so disheartening to think that, can we really put ourselves in the position of a trans young person in this country and understand what it must feel like for them to hear that the Supreme Court of this nation, the place that we look for the ultimate in protections and freedoms, is actually debating whether or not you have the right to exist care for your own health? I mean, it's maybe, to use Hillary's words, deplorable. It's absolutely disgusting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's very fun. Like, I love that you brought up the whole idea. It's about nonconformity. It is about not fitting into a mold, not fitting into a nice, neat package. A lot of stuff. It's so funny. Maya Angelou keeps popping up in my world lately, and she keeps talking about how she had talked about. I think everybody needs to put everything down and go read all the Maya Angelou that you can, because the wisdom that comes from her is just incredible. And we was talking about how certainty is the thing that makes people cowards. She's talking about, like, if you can be certain and you're fine, but if you are uncertain, if you do not know, that's what makes a cowardly action. You cannot stand up for something. I'm doing a horrible job explaining it. She tied it into Hamlet and the whole thing about how certainty makes us cowards of us all and make us rather bear the ills we know than the ones we know not of. I can pull out Shakespeare like that. But
I would agree. Jen and I, we talk all the time about what happens when you don't understand. I think it's important to realize that, that's why it's so confusing for our community, LGBTQ people across the board, is that, the world does not need to understand the experiences that we have as LGBTQ plus people. They just need to accept us for who we are, right? Acceptance doesn't require understanding. And people do that every day. I mean, all of us, we can jump on an airplane and we accept that the pilot knows how to get us from point A to point B without us having to be like aerospace engineers and understanding how an airplane actually flies through the sky. We trust that their experience brings us to not having to understand it. And it's the same way with trans youth, with anybody in the LGBTQ plus life experience, that, if you're outside of that realm, that's okay. You don't have to understand it because it's almost impossible for you to unless you've been there. So let us be the people who can tell you that we're okay. We're going to get from point A to point B. We know exactly how to do it. And it's really not your business. So sit back, relax, enjoy the flight, and we hope you'll come back again, right? So that's it.
Yeah, I mean, that is the thing that I keep coming back to. Like, how does this affect your life? How does this affect your life? Equal rights for others does not mean less rights for you. That is I know it's a T-shirt slogan, but it's so true.
Why judge? I mean, we see couples together. We don't know why they love each other. Whether heterosexual couples, for example.
Right.
But it's not for. Right. We don't have to understand. All we have to understand is that if they're happy, that's really all we should be concerned about in any facet of life. But the key is this visibility, and I know that's the Kelly Clarkson, and I hope you get to do this on many platforms, because the only way to get through fear is visibility and just compassion. Because I think people's better angels will say, "Wow, that young person, that looks like a wonderful young person. I just don't know any trans people, and maybe I should rethink my prejudice, my fear over something that's just not familiar to me." And the more you can get out there, the better. And I would hope that Kelly Clarkson's audience is going to be one that does have a more of a variety than, let's say, the Views audience when it comes to different people that whose minds you can hopefully open and change. So kudos.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think we've already seen that, start to be put into action. And Ellen, I just want to double click on what you said about visibility because, I don't know if y'all saw, but the champions were on the cover of the Advocates magazine last month, the Out 100 Award. It's like a double issue.
Nice.
And so for the first time ever, young transgender people who aren't celebrities, who aren't, who don't have booking agents and whatnot, 6 of our young people were on the cover, and that's going to fast follow next week. We're going to be at the Out 100 Awards, and two of the champions are actually going to be student journalists, speaking with the Cynthia Erivos of the world and the Harper Steeles of the world and the Chapel Roans of the world around sending, what important messages can these incredible global leaders send to the hundreds of thousands of trans young people just like them. So, I wanted to tell you 2 last things because, we still continue to be glass half full. And I know that may be an odd thing to hear at this moment in time, but let me give you just a couple quick last examples. One is the young people with whom we've worked. Gara mentioned we're about to turn 7 years old, between 6.5 and 7. So the young people we started to work with 7 years ago, they are now, one of them is a month away from securing his PhD.
Oh my gosh.
Because he's set, right, Jonathan? So because he is set to go find a cure for Alzheimer's. And another which is incredible, right? And another champion is about to get his degree because he's going to be a special education teacher. Another one's going to be a civil rights attorney. These people, another one's going to nursing school. So the fact of the matter is these kids are here. They're here, and they're going to law clerk for a justice someday. And so there is an inflection point that is coming. It's coming. And that inflection point is that when you look at, for instance, Ellen, you talked about the enormous number of ads and the amount of money that was spent to vilify young people in the transgender community. And when you look at all of the reasons that the people who voted actually voted, you actually don't see in that list of nearly 24 reasons, you don't actually see transgender issues. And so what that means to us, here's what that means to us. The information we have is that folks have elected their people to go and do the business of their state, their city, their locale. And as they see that their own elected officials are spending all this dang time and money on issues that have no impact on everyday folks, they're getting frustrated. And the best example is the Montana state legislature. Did y'all see that this week, what happened?
No, I didn't.
So in the state of Montana, which is homogenous, one sort of person, cisgender, totally het, white folks, old folks, they failed to pass a similar sort of ridiculous ordinance or thing that talked about the bathrooms and who can go into which bathrooms at the state legislature. It failed, including Republicans. Republicans, do you know what they said? They said, look, we didn't get elected by our people to spend time on this.
Yeah.
And so I'm not voting for it.
Good.
Yep.
So I just think it's really important.
Sticking to the facts. Sticking to the facts and the misinformation out there. None of us need to learn more about misinformation.
Right.
But, the misinformation is what's always been used against trans people. And, it's the same old playbook. And, if you look at actual facts, like for a while, all we heard about was sports bans, right? And trans people in sports. It was the big topic because that was getting traction at the time. But in reality, Scott and Ellen, do you know that there's 1,200 schools, roughly, that participate in the NCAA sports? There's 520,000 NCAA athletes. It's the largest number in the last few years that they've ever had. And the census is that there's less than 40 transgender athletes out of 520,000.
Mm-hmm.
40.
Yeah.
And half of them are trans-masculine, and we never hear about those athletes, right?
Don't.
We never hear about the 20 that were assigned female at birth and compete at male sports.
Right.
And yet, so we're really talking about 20 people out of over a half a million, right, that actually get this coverage. It's insanity.
It is crazy.
And that is the
sad.
part of that thing that's making me kooky pants, because if you would believe, like, if you hear their argument, you would think there is an epidemic
everywhere
of trans and I'm also glad that you brought up it is specifically trans women, because misogyny is alive and well here in the good old US of A. I'm always amazed at how well and even keeled you can be, because it just makes my blood boil sometimes. So I've kept you far too long, but I do want to, like, as we are heading into this new regime kind of thing, and hopefully folks, like, there are state legislatures like Montana that will be like, this is dumb, we should not be talking about this, we need to be focusing on the work for all the people. How can folks become better allies as we are moving forward, and what, we can't read the tea leaves or gaze into a crystal ball to see what's coming down the pike, but it definitely feels like trans folks are going to be the target.
Well, so I think it is just to speak up based on your own personal life experience. If you have ever known or met a transgender person, then it's up to you to stand in and say, the things that you're talking about, that's not my experience, right? And have you ever met a transgender person? And if not, maybe I can introduce you to someone, because you really should meet these amazing people and understand what they go through and what the process might be. I mean, we can educate people, but only with the help of allies that step in and help that work. But Scott, it's not lost on any of us. I mean, here we are on the radio and talking to an LGBTQ plus radio show. I mean, we've come a really long way based on where we've come in the past. Of course, we're not going to go back, but as things get dark the next 4 years, not just for our community, but for so many marginalized communities, we have to stand together. We have to stand up for each other. These are not singular issues. They are all the same issues, right? And that is persecuting people for being different. And we're all different. So let's come together.
Live and let live.
Yeah, absolutely.
Amen to all of that. Thank you both so much. It's always a pleasure to have you with us.
Absolutely. Thank you both. You are the best examples of super allies for our children and our community than we'll ever have. So y'all keep doing what you're doing. We love you so much. Well, and it's gonna be okay.
Yeah,
I know. Oh, I know it's going to be okay. Again, I appreciate the optimism, the looking of the glass is half full. I really appreciate that. Jen Grosshandler and Garrett Goldstein of the Gender Cool Project. Before I let you go, Jen, I have to ask, how's Chazzy's first year of college going?
So she starts in the fall because she decided to do a groovy gap year. She's doing a ton of work for Gender Cool.
Oh, well, I'm sorry. Is she just like at the White House again?
She is all over. And we leave for LA on Tuesday. And so I know that she loves you so much. And I know she's going to want to come back on at some point and talk about some new things that the organization is doing. But until then, I will make sure to send her your best.
Please
and
do.
she sends you both love.
She's always welcome here.
All of you are welcome. And again, if you want to find out more information about the incredible work that Gender Cool Project does, go to gendercool.org. Jen Grosshandler, Garrett Goldstein, thank you again so much for joining us today, and thank you for again spreading the information and the love and the dignity and respect that we are all entitled to.
Thank you
Absolutely.
so
Happy
much to
Sunday,
you both.
everyone.
Happy holidays.
Happy
Happy
holidays.
holidays to you all. Speaking of holidays, we should probably take a break because we're going to have Chicago's very own Lonesome Cowboy, Andrew Saw, talking about the Lonesome Holiday Show at the Hideout. So stick around. You're listening to Out Chicago right here on WCPT.
Welcome back. I'm Lennox McGee.
I'm David Dodd, and we're the hosts of The Sip.
You're listening to
Out Chicago on WCPT 820.
Welcome back to Out Chicago. Scott Duff and Ella Miller rolling along.
Yes, we are.
Trying to get into the holiday spirit.
We are.
There we go. And I can't think of a better way. Chicago's very own Lonesome Cowboy, Andrew Saw, is getting ready for his Lonesome Holiday Show at the Hideout with 4 performances in 2 different casts, December 10th and 11th and December 19th and 20th. And welcome back to the show, Andrew Saw.
Thank you. It's so good to hear your voice again.
It's so great to hear your voice as well. Always. First, before we get into the holidays, I gotta know, how did the Lavender Prairie Queer Country Festival go?
Oh, without a hitch.
Nice.
Fabulous.
It was a triumph. Oh yeah, we made money.
What?
Wow.
Wow.
That's fantastic.
Wait,
Oh, yeah.
was that the first year? That wasn't the first year, was it?
It was, yeah, and we're already planning next year.
Yes, you are. To make money on a festival the first year out. Yes.
People
These are
want to
snaps
see it.
all
They want to
over
hear
here.
it. They want to be there. That's fantastic.
Congratulations. That's amazing.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you. I mean, I owe it all to everyone who came out from all corners of the U.S. to share their hearts and their minds with us. And it was such a love fest, I tell you.
we love a love
Yeah, we
fest.
do. We need
That
more
was
of them.
amazing.
We need them now more than ever.
So what's in
That's so
store
true.
for the Lonesome Holiday Show that's coming up at the Hideout?
Well. It's going to be a little more of a production than we did last year. I'm writing it with my good friend Alex Grelly,
Okay. Yes.
who is best known as Chicago's Grelly Duvall.
Mhm.
So there's sure to be a little more camp than we had last year.
You think?
Oh,
maybe
maybe
with
just a
Alex
touch.
Grelly
Yeah.
involved there. How did you two meet? You and Alex.
Okay, well, Alex, I used to have an acoustic queer music night at a bar called Wang's in North Halsted on Broadway.
Oh, yeah.
Me and my friend Dylan Matrasha, we had a night called Second Date. Anyway, Alex would attend that, and he would just ask me constantly, I want to sing with you. I want to sing with you. Every time he'd come. Anyway, that's how our friendship began. That was years ago. My goodness, that was 10 years ago now.
He stalked you and it worked, basically.
Sometimes it does.
Sometimes it does.
So as you were working together with you two incredible forces. You've got Andrew Saw, like crooner extraordinaire, and then you've got Alex Grelly, who does the Alex Grelly thing that nobody else can do. What was your process of the two of you coming together to create the new version of the Lonesome Holiday Show that's coming up at the Hideout for 4 performances?
Well, Alex has a monthly show that he does called Ordinary People, and in July we wanted to do something together, and we wrote an Ordinary People's review, which was based on the film Nashville by Robert Altman.
Mm-hmm.
And we had such a good time writing that show together, and we felt so proud of the product that when I was bringing up that, I'm going to do Lonesome Holiday again, he asked, can I write that with you? And I'm just so grateful. He is such a fun, thrilling collaborator. I mean, his ideas are endless, and often far beyond what I would ever come up with myself.
Okay. If you've seen his work, you will totally understand that is.
Yeah,
That's right.
Is that where he got? Is that where he got obsessed with Shelley Duvall from the Nashville movie?
You know, you'd have to ask him when that began. I don't know. I want to say that actually, I would like to say that it's the Shelley Duvall fairy tale theater.
Yeah, I believe it's fairy tales. But you know, we are all obsessed, and we're all obsessed with you too. So what is coming? So as you're getting ready for the show, I know you're going to have. What kind of music are you going to be highlighting at the Lonesome Holiday?
Yeah, give us some
This
little
year,
hints.
well, okay. So this year we are. The vision is inspired by the TV specials of the 60s and 70s.
Sign me up.
Like the Judy Garland special, of course.
Yes, there will be a little bit of that. I am hugely inspired by the Johnny Cash Christmas specials that he did year after year, 70s into the 80s. I'm also a huge fan of the Sonny and Cher show. So there's just like, we were playing with the look of the Hideout.
Okay.
Because the Hideout, it just has that wood paneling. It has such a warm, in our eyes, 70s vibe. And so that's the focus. We're going to be covering songs from some Christmas songs, a lot of Christmas songs, but, songs by Dolly Parton, Sonny and Cher. We're going to do a little ABBA. There's going to be some Judy Garland. There's some Joni Mitchell. There's some Johnny Cash, Chris Christopherson. I mean, just all kinds of tunes.
I love that.
Something for everyone.
Something for everyone. And you're going to have two different casts. Who's going to be joining you on stage at this delicious variety show?
Well, a lot of local talent, which I'm very excited for. The first week on the 10th and 11th, we'll have the one and only Kelly Hogan, Chicago royalty. We'll have my great and incredibly talented friend Aunt Kelly. We will have Sam Cantor of Minor Moon and Vivi Lightbody. Out-of-town guests, we will have my good friend Brittany Ann Tranbaugh from Philadelphia to not only join the cast but give us a sweet opening set. The next week, my friends from North Carolina, my collaborator H.C. McIntyre and her fiance Rosalie, who's also a brilliant musical force coming out of that area. They are coming through to open and also be a part of that cast. Seema Cunningham of Phenome will be a part of that show. Lexi Goddard from Tobacco City. Who am I forgetting? Hawk Nebula. Oh, my goodness. If you've never heard Hawk Nebula sing, he's going to sing this Dolly Parton song that is going to set the room on fire.
I love it.
Oh, I'm so excited.
It's so wonderful.
And I cannot forget one of my favorite people to perform with, Mary Williamson.
I was going to say, Mary. Got to talk about Mary.
I mean, she is just. I do not smile ever in my life compared to when I'm performing with her.
I can see why.
Well, yeah, as I say, there's something about Mary. Language is my joy. So, when you're putting together these things, I just got this weird leg cramp. When you're putting together these shows, do you, I love that it's like a nice mix of like holidays and non-holiday music. But what are like your favorite things about the holidays?
You know, I am a camp queen. I do love the glitter. If you don't know me, I love the sparkle. I not to get overly cheesy, but the holidays really, generally, I've noticed bring out the best in people. It definitely brings out the best in me, and that's a really nice experience, especially right now, what the nation is going through, and to have the warmth and the kindness and the thoughtfulness and the excuse to get together with people and connect And to remember people and times of your, I do love the music. I have a love-hate relationship with some Christmas music. But, just like any genre of music, there's the good and there's the maybe not so good.
Yes, agreed.
Yes.
Agreed.
Maybe you could share a little of what you like and even what you don't like. What are some of the songs that, but let's start with what songs really don't
the bah humbug songs.
Sit well with you.
What drives you kooky pants?
Oh my gosh. Okay. I'm not a huge fan of Christmas carols.
Like the religious ones?
Deck the halls.
And some of the religious ones, although some of them are stunningly beautiful. One of my favorites. No. You asked me about what I don't like. Like the ones that are sing-along. Like, I'm not a huge fan of a sing-along. I like singing with people, but I don't know. Like, jingle bells, stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm with you. Mm-hmm.
You know what I don't? There's one song from the film White Christmas that I cannot stand. Is that song that's about snow?
About snow?
Do you know that one?
The snow
song?
song?
I want to wash my hair, my feet, or whatever with snow. It's I can't.
My brother-in-law loves White Christmas so much. And he
I don't remember that.
He
sure
watches
it
every day during the month of December.
No.
So much so that my sister has to be like, I cannot watch this. You have to go somewhere else.
That's
and
crazy.
That stupid snow song, he'll walk into a room and he'll just go, snow, and you're supposed to jump in with him. I'm like, no, yes, and poor Vera, she just looks so dazed throughout the entire number of that one. Yes, I am with you on the snow one. She was clearly very hungry, that one. So, but now things that you do like. What are the songs that kind of make you go, oh, this is either fun to sing or just a beautiful
warms
song?
your heart or just makes you feel great about Christmas?
I mean, call me classic, but Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas is
whose version?
Number one on my list.
Whose version is it?
There's
Judy?
no doubt it's Judy Garland.
Thank you. Okay,
there we go.
The original.
The original. I also, that is one, and it reminds me of my father because he used to sing it and loved it. Judy Garland. I also love Sean Colvin and James Taylor's versions of that song. But it is at the very...
I love Sean Colvin. I've never heard that.
Oh, yeah.
To that.
Check it out. I think it's on a record called Acoustic Christmas. Check it out, Andrew. It's beautiful. But that's I'm looking at my list I made up for today's show, and that is number one on my list.
And whenever I hear Judy Garland singing that, it just makes me sad, and then it makes me think of Tootie running out in there and just smashing the crap out of those snowmen. No.
Oh.
I love that. Okay, good. You started out on a good note there. What else? What other ones?
There's a song that we are covering in the show that I don't know if a lot of people know. It was on. There were those Christmas compilations that were coming out in the 90s with those Keith Haring drawings. Anyway.
Yeah, a very special Christmas.
Very special Christmas. Those are yes.
That's it. There's a Tom Petty song called Christmas All Over Again.
Yes.
That I love, we're doing for the show.
Oh, that's perfect for you, too.
I love Christmas Baby, Please Come Home. What's her name? Oh, my goodness. What's her name?
She played on David Letterman every year. Is that...
oh, gosh. I feel terrible. I'm not going to remember.
Darlene Love?
Darlene Love.
That's it.
Thank you.
Very good, Scott. Thank you.
Hey, I know me some Christmas stuff.
That's a good one.
But listen, look, if you want... Go ahead.
One song we did last year was a newer favorite of mine, a Merle Haggard song called If We Make It Through December, which is a really heart-wrenching country song about a man who's just lost his job and he's not sure how he's going to make Christmas work for his little girl this year. Oh, my goodness. So many good Christmas songs out there. Many good ones.
There is no shortage of them. It is unbelievable how many artists have recorded Christmas songs.
It's amazing. And what's going to be even more amazing is to get you into the holiday spirit. You could go twice, or you could go all four times.
Go 4 times, yeah.
Because there are going to be different casts.
I'm sorry to say you can't. We've sold out the 19th and the 20th.
Oh.
I already have my tickets.
So the only shows left will be the 10th and the 11th.
All right.
Okay,
well,
folks.
Then, folks,
Don't miss it.
Don't sleep on this, because clearly it's a hot ticket to have. You want to make sure that you check out Andrew Saw's Lonesome Holiday Show at the Hideout. Tickets are still available for the December 10th and 11th. Alas, the 19th and 20th have been sold out because you are fabulous and amazing.
I made the mistake last year of showing up without a ticket.
Oh, no.
Thinking, I'm sure I can buy a ticket at the door. And no, but luckily, one of the opening acts took
they snuck you
pity
in.
on us, and he put us on his guest list.
No.
So, because I said, "How do I get in here? We're here. We have to see this." And the doorman goes, "The only way you can get in is if you're on somebody's guest list." And I go, "Okay, what musicians do I know?" But ironically, it was a musician I did not know, Nathan Graham. Is Nathan going to be with you again this year?
Unfortunately, he was planning on it, but he had another commitment that came up, and he couldn't say no to. So, like I said, Sam of Minor Moon and Vivi Lightbody, they're covering for him this year. But hopefully we'll have him next year. I do love working with Nate.
He's a great person and a great performer, and I'm looking forward to seeing the people that are replacing him. So I know you have good friends and good talented friends, so you can't go wrong with seeing this show. It'll put you in the holiday spirit, and there will be a Joni Mitchell song. So
we gotta love that.
We're big Joni fans
so
over
again,
here.
Andrew Saw's Lonesome Holiday coming up at the Hideout. Tickets are available for the 10th and 11th. Go to hideoutchicago.com for that. Andrew Saw, thank you so much for joining us. Have a wonderful holiday season and have a fabulous show.
Thank you. Merry Christmas, you guys.
Merry
Thank
Christmas.
You so much.
See you in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Thanks, Andrew.
We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, it is the final thrilling show-stopping moments about Chicago right here on WCPT.
Welcome back. I'm Paul Oakley-Stovall. You're listening to Out Chicago on WCPT.
Welcome back to Out Chicago. Scott Duff here. No Miller. There we are. Look, I love a holiday show so much, and you could make sure you go check out Andrew Saw.
As one who saw him for the first time, I'm a huge fan now of Andrew's. Of seeing him, I just fell in love with him, just as a person and a performer. He's just fantastic. So
that croony voice.
Oh, and he's adorable too.
Yes.
And he works the sparkle like there's no tomorrow.
I know.
So
everyone should
check it out. There's tickets this week. You're out of luck for the 19th and 20th, but this week you can still go see
if
him.
you're looking for something fun to do, like I said, we put up our Christmas tree. We didn't break up. So that's a little miracle in itself.
Yeah.
And we're like, we were putting things up. I have a playlist.
Yes.
That I call Christmas Enough.
Okay.
Because, sometimes Christmas isn't everybody's jam, like with the music. So I try to mix in like some other things that are kind of like, all right, like give a little bit. But, give a little bit. Isn't that Supertramp, yeah. That whole thing. Then a more, how do you like it? Like, just throw those things in there, just to kind of mix it up to like do the whole thing.
Interesting.
But so what are, Andrew's playing some Christmas hits and other things. What are some of yours? We know Judy Garland, number one.
Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas. I cry every time I hear it. I think of my dad. He loved that movie, Meet Me in St. Louis, and
there we
here's
go.
A little of it.
Have yourself a merry little Christmas. Let your heart be light. Next year all our troubles will be out of sight.
It's so depressing.
Oh my God! I'm crying. I'm tearing up just listening to it.
I'm tearing up too.
And as I said, Sean Colvin and James Taylor have great versions as well.
Yeah. But again, every time I hear that Judy Garland one, I just immediately think of Margaret O'Brien running out and just smacking the crap out of those.
I forget. I got to watch the movie again. It's been a while.
Oh, that movie's great.
So that's a traditional one that I love, along with "I'll Be Home for Christmas." Bing Crosby originated it. It's been done by a million people. But I also have some that are a little little
more obscure,
from those rock and roll collections that I've had over the years.
Yeah.
One, and I don't know if you found this one, Devin. It's called "The Bell That Couldn't Jingle." It was on my parents had like these Firestone. They'd go to the gas stations and get those albums,
the weird ones.
Yeah. And it's called "The Bell That Couldn't Jingle," and actually Herb Alpert wrote it.
What?
But yes,
from the Tijuana Brass.
Yes. Here it is.
Is this?
This is the beginning of it.
Just like you were brand new.
Okay. Yeah.
Christmas bell was crying, and Santa heard it say, "I just can't seem to jingle, and I can't go on the sleigh."
That bell couldn't jingle and couldn't go on the sleigh, but I bet it does by the end of the song.
It does.
I bet
it
he knows
does.
how to jingle.
I just, sometimes songs just bring back memories for you that are your personal memories, and that makes it special. And
1,000%. Before you, but like you're right, because let's talk about that is a huge thing. Music really does. Marcel Proust writes about it. About how when a memory is accompanied by music, that memory becomes much more vivid. And it's one of the few things that folks with Alzheimer's and dementia, music will always bring them back. It was a big thing for my mom. When she was Mamas and the Papas would always put a smile on her face. And on Christmas, she had a really hard time, with using when we would go to services, because again, my sister is a priest. When we would go to services, she knew all of it. She didn't need a prayer book or anything. And especially when the hymns came on, the Christmas carols that we would sing, she would know every single word. So it's wonderful. I get it.
It's so special. A couple other quick ones. The Pretenders. I love Chrissy Hine. She does a song called 2,000 Miles.
I don't know this one.
He's gone 2,000 miles. It's very far. The snow is falling down. It's colder day by day. I miss you. The children will sing. He'll be back at Christmas time.
All right. That's good.
I
That's a
love
good
that
one.
song. And one more by a woman that I love, Laura Nero. She does a song. It starts out with "Let It Be Me" into the Christmas song. I don't know if you found that one. He did, of course.
Oh, yes.
I want to stay around you now and for always. Let it be me. Don't take this heaven from one.
And then it goes into have your the Christmas song.
Okay.
The
All right.
Mel Torme song.
Mel Torme. I love Mel Torme.
Great writer, great singer.
There is something about the holidays that gives you permission to be unabashedly sentimental.
Yes, corny and sentimental.
Yeah,
both.
And I live with sentimental. Jerry's one of the most sentimental people on the planet. You are too. Yeah, and it's it gives you permission to kind of to have the warm fuzzies.
It's the only time of the year where you give yourself that kind of permission.
Well, I think maybe we should be giving ourselves more of that time.
I think, like Auntie Mame said, we need a little Christmas. We need it
right
a lot
we do
lately.
Need it a lot.
What are some of yours?
I did not do my homework as well as you did because you have clips and everything.
I have more even.
No. I've got a couple. Me. I like one of my favorite Christmas albums is the Phil Spector Christmas album that has Darlene Love on there, and the Ronettes. I love that whole like wall of sound that's coming at you, and for some reason it captures the giddy excitement of the holidays. I love Marshmallow World. Love that.
Don't know that one.
Oh no, I know it. I felt like I had brought a clip.
You've done your homework.
I know, but Marshmallow World is so much fun. Just talking about, there's some winter songs too that I'm always confused. Like, okay, this is not necessarily a Christmas song.
Like Winter Wonderland.
Winter Wonderland.
That can be
Jingle
played all
Bells,
winter.
Marshmallow World. They're songs about snow, and they have nothing to do with all of that sort of Christmassy stuff. But I do love the Squirrelette Zippers, their Christmas album.
Oh.
Are you familiar
I'm familiar with the band, but I don't know about the Christmas album.
Squirrelette Zippers, they're a band out of North Carolina, and they do kind of folky, jazzy, New Orleans-y inspired things. Their Christmas album is so wonderful because it captures the sadness of the season so well. But we're out of time. We'll
Blue Christmas by Elvis.
Blue Christmas. I want a hippopotamus for Christmas. I love
Oh, yeah, that's a good song.
I love it. It's adorable, like me, and like all of you. So thank you so much for listening to us today. I want to thank all of our guests, Jen Grosshandler, Garrett Goldstein, and Andrew Saw. Devin, thank you so much for running things. You are amazing. Paul, thank you for doing whatever it is that you do. Doing that thing over there. Ellen Miller, wonderful to see you. Have a fabulous week. Enjoy the show tonight.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm going to see Betty Levette at Old Town School.
Love it. And I'm Scott Duff, and until next week,
stay proud.
It's a sugar date. What if spring is late? In winter, it's a